Hey guys, how is everybody doing? And welcome back to my Christopher Nolan review series leading up to the brand new release of the Odyssey. And if you have not seen my other two reviews of the Christopher Nolan review series, I already reviewed his first two films, Following and Memento, and now I am on his third directorial effort with Insomnia. And yes, I am wearing a hoodie with my hood on. It is fucking cold where I live. It has been raining for 4 straight days. It is fucking cold. Feels like Antarctica here. I'm only joking. But with that all out of the way, here are my thoughts on Insomnia. Starting off with my positives on Insomnia is I really like the visual side of this movie. This movie takes place in Antarctica, and I personally have never been to Antarctica, nor do I really want to. But I do think the visuals of Antarctica shown in this movie are very pretty and very good looking. Now, whenever a movie or a show is usually set in Antarctica, they always look, freaking gorgeous. And it's always seems to be visually that the movie always looks gorgeous, no matter if it's always set in Antarctica, the movie always looks good. And this movie is a good example of that, especially like kind of in the opening when they're flying in, like when they're just landing, and you kind of get a view of like the mountains or whatever. And then just like throughout the movie when there's like fog or when they're walking around or whatever. But visually wise, this movie looks very good, and just Antarctica as the setting just makes this movie even better. And pure to its title, this movie does do a pretty good job of making you feel the insomnia. Now, this movie's main character is portrayed by Al Pacino, who is an amazing actor, and Al Pacino does what he usually does and gives a great performance because he really makes you feel his mind, basically him losing his mind from the insomnia. Now in Antarctica, the sun never goes down, especially at that time of the year. It doesn't go down. It's pretty much always daylight out, so a lot of people have insomnia. A lot of people can't sleep. Like 10 at night, it literally looks like it's 10 o'clock in the morning. So that kind of fucks with your brain a little bit. And throughout the whole movie, that's kind of like the whole case, and it kind of does feel like a side plot when the movie is titled Insomnia. But I do think that the movie does a good job of making you feel it and making you kind of feel like the angerness and the mind fucking goes on throughout the whole movie, and that is due to Al Pacino's performance, who gives a good performance and really makes you feel that. So I thought since it's pure to its title, I do feel like this movie does a damn good job of making you feel like you are kind of experiencing the insomnia or what it would kind of feel like too. I've never personally experienced it, but there are times where I've only gotten like an hour and a half of sleep at night. And when you have basically two A-list actors in a movie together, you got to know that these two are going to give great performances. So Al Pacino and Robin Williams, rest in peace, they give amazing performances. It shouldn't become a shock. Al Pacino, he's an Oscar nominated actor. He's been in cult classics like The Godfather, Scarface, Carmelo's Way. This man, and even Heat. This man has been in so many amazing movies, and that is due to him giving off great performances. Hell, it's even said that he wouldn't have gotten Scarface if it wasn't for The Godfather, which I don't know if that's a rumor or if it's the truth, but either way is like that shows you how good of a performance he gives. And throughout this whole movie, I felt like he just gave just another brilliant performance where he plays this cop from I can't remember where, but he gives a great performance throughout the whole movie. And his co-star Robin Williams, which this was kind of the point in time in his career where Robin kind of started taking more serious, darker roles, where he was mostly known as like the comedic guy, Miss Doubtfire, Jumanji, and Patch Adams, or if you even want to consider that a comedy when it's more sad than anything, makes me cry. But Robin Williams, he's just amazing in this movie, and it really does show the range that this guy had because, man, oh man, I miss that man. I really, really do. He just gives another great performance in this movie. It just shows that how great of an actor Robin Williams was. Like he could be funny at times, and then he can also be serious and and even scary at times. But this movie definitely shows that. So the two main actors in this movie obviously give a great performance, and what it shouldn't be a shock. Something I kind of really appreciate about this movie that I didn't really realize before when I watched it the first time a couple years ago when I first did this review series. I really like how this is really smaller scale compared to Nolan's other movies. When you kind of think of Christopher Nolan, obviously you're going to think about the Dark Knight trilogy. Like, who doesn't think of that when they think of Christopher Nolan? You have movies like that, and then you got movies like Oppenheimer, Dunkirk, Interstellar, and just so many other movies like Inception that are like these really huge cinematic big scale like movies to where they are like one of a kind and can't be replicated type thing. And that's what Christopher Nolan is known for. He's known for those big cinematic movies that kind of like mess with your mind a little bit, has the audience wondering type thing. And what I liked about this movie is that it was very small scale compared to other Nolan movies. Like, it's just a simple crime thriller of a cop that is trying to hunt down a serial killer, pretty much, who accidentally kills his partner in the process. Like, it's a very simple crime thriller story that is awesome to see Christopher Nolan do a movie like this, especially nowadays. Like, I think that's why I enjoyed this movie more when I watched it this time, because it was just smaller scale and it wasn't just this huge movie or whatever. It was just a small scale thriller, and I really enjoyed it from that. And especially since Christopher Nolan made this, which, like I said, he makes big cinematic movies now. Now moving on to my mixed aspects, and I only have one, and my mixed aspect is Hilary Swank's character, who I believe her name is Elizabeth? No, Ellie. I was close enough. Her character, Ellie. Now, no disrespect towards Hilary Swank. She's an amazing actress. I think that's her name. We're gonna say that is. And if I'm wrong, shut the fuck up for a second. Let me be me for a moment. Now there's nothing wrong with her performance wise. She gives a great performance, and hell, she's a great actress. Like, I'm pretty sure she has 2 Oscars, so she doesn't need me to say much, I guess. But however, I just felt like her character just didn't work because her character is just like this, like, basically rookie like cop that studied Al Pacino's role or whatever, like his cases for years, because how fascinated she was with him, and she wants to become a better detective because of him, something like that, something along the lines of that. And I kind of enjoyed that, but at the same time, she just doesn't really fit in this movie all that much, and I don't really understand what the main goal of her character truly was. But at the end of the movie, they try to do this thing where she tries to frame Robin's character for actually killing Al Pacino's partner when she knows it was him, but she doesn't want him to be known as that. But as he's dying, he's just like, no, let it happen, pretty much, which tries to have this cool character arc or whatever. But for me, it just didn't work. But now moving on to my negatives, and I only have one, and I feel like it is kind of a big issue. But my main negative is that I can't really get into any of these characters because it's kind of hard to root for any of them. Now, you have Al Pacino and Robin Williams in the main roles, which you think you would want to root for them just for that. I'm gonna fix my hoodie so you can see my beautiful face. But you think you would want to root for them just because they're played by great actors, but their characters just in general, I don't really like them. Like Al Pacino's character, the movie tries to hint at that maybe this is like a dirty cop type of guy. Like, the movie tries to have you wonder if he did purposely shoot his partner, but I honestly feel like it's pretty obvious that it was an accident. But what do I fucking know? Because there's a bunch of theories on the internet that he did it on purpose. Because they try to hint that maybe he's a dirty cop, pretty much. Like, throughout the whole movie, they hint at that. And how can I root for a guy trying to capture a serial killer who killed a 17-year-old? Like, how am I supposed to root for him when he's a dirty cop? Like, I can't really root for that. And then the movie tries to get you to kind of sympathize with Robin Williams' character, because there's like a point in time where, like, he explains like, oh, I never meant to kill her, I never meant to hurt her or whatever, which we all know is bullshit. But since it's played by Robin Williams and he does such a good job at selling it, like, the movie tries to have a little sympathy for him, tries to make you have some sympathy for him, which could have worked. I'm not lying there. But this guy killed a 17-year-old girl, and there's the possible hint that he maybe even touched her, which that's never clarified, and it's also said that it was that didn't happen, but we still don't know. And it's also just fucking weird. That's a 40-year-old dude being in love with a 17-year-old. That's just fucking weird. But I couldn't really root for any of the characters. And then I talked about Ellie's character not in my mixed aspects, where I just felt like her characters just didn't fit in. But like just the two main roles, I couldn't really get into either one of them. None of them were likable. All in all, guys, I actually really enjoyed Insomnia. Now, when I first watched it, I remember thinking it was just okay, and I just didn't really care for it. But on this rewatch, I actually found myself enjoying it quite a bit. Now, I do really enjoy it. I do think that it's a pretty good standout compared to other Nolan movies because how small scaled it is. But I feel like because of that, it also gets a little bit overlooked. But even then, I still really enjoyed it. But I do definitely think this movie is worth a watch just from the two performances in this movie alone. So, what do you guys think about Insomnia? Have you seen it? What do you think about it? Do you like this movie? Do you not like this movie? Is this actually your favorite Christopher Nolan movie because of the low scale compared to his other movies? Let me know in the comments below and we shall talk about it. If you like this video, like it. If you love it, subscribe with bell notifications so you will get notified for all of my latest videos. And of course, until my next video, I'll see you all next time.